Morning, everyone, and welcome to the December 19th Rockingham Board of Commissioners meeting. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In attendance today, we have Commissioner Coyle.
Good morning.
Commissioner Cherichello, Commissioner-elect Tom Tombarello, and Commissioner Godu. I'll be serving as your chairman of this meeting. We'll move right along to our first award for a John Deere utility tractor.
I move to award the proposal for John Deere utility tractor to James Rosenkrantz and Sons Incorporated for an amount not to exceed $147,649 as recommended by the Senior Director of Facilities Planning and IT.
Second.
Any discussion on this award?
It's least expensive, as well as we have a relationship with them, a good working relationship. So on all counts, it seems, and their count within the county, right? So to the extent that we talk about trying to utilize companies and, help businesses within the county, that's a nice thing too. All in all, it's great.
Agreed. Commissioner Coyle,
Yes.
Commissioner Cherichello.
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Thank you.
Communications Center console furniture,
Yeah.
Sheriff's Office.
Move to award the proposal for communication center console furniture to Sistema Corporation for an amount not to exceed $238,617 as recommended by the High Sheriff.
Second.
Any discussion on this? I reviewed the numbers. This was not the lowest bid. It was the second highest bid, but the other I think we received clear backup as to some of them are way off. And there was one that there was just concern. I think that the justification for the difference that we're seeing here is worthy. We were missing those details last week, so this is what we tabled from last week, but I'm in favor of this, General.
I agree. I think, you could throw two out just because they were so disparate. Of the three that they're all within, given the high amount of this award, just the cost demands, the delta between the first, second, and third is relatively small and percentage wise, so I support it.
Okay, Commissioner Cherichello,
Yes.
Commissioner Coyle,
Yes.
and I vote yes. All right, we're moving on to the consent agenda, and we have someone from the corrections and from Sheriff's Department to talk to us about a Women in Law Enforcement Leadership Conference. This is our debriefing, so welcome, please.
They're both from corrections.
Oh,
They're
both from
both
corrections.
mine.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw the gold badge, and I guess it's supposed to have stars on it, sorry.
I will introduce, first of all, so you guys know, this is Commissioner Godu, Commissioner Tombarello, Commissioner Cherichello,
You're gonna make.
you know.
Kate.
So what we have here today, this is Officer Belize. She is in our video room, does all video arraignments, those kinds of things. She gets inmates into programs. The amount of stuff that she does for the facility down in that video arraignment stuff is pretty amazing. So she's been an asset, and she does a great job down there. How many years have you been doing that now in there?
In 2019, I started October 2019.
And she keeps stats, and everything else that is part of the yearly annual report and everything else. So she has a partner that works with her if you want to.
Yeah, so we are working together very regularly, and just the effort from I think that what is remarkable, and I can say it not from the county side, but from the court side, that the jail you guys do such an amazing job getting things prepared, being ready for court. Because you guys have to do the video hearings for every court in the county. You are always on time, always ready, dealing with people, getting people in and out of that room. The video room is not always easy and challenging, and you're extremely accommodating to the courts. It's just like things move so well within the court system because of what you guys do in the video room. So thank you for your efforts.
Thank you.
She does have a partner in there who's recently new.
Officer
Yeah.
Kara.
Kara, thank
Yep,
you.
You're welcome.
Which she's had to train.
Jeff, yes.
She's had to train as well, and he's doing very, very well too,
Yeah.
with her guidance and leadership. I mean, he's does a fantastic job.
And we have like people across the county that rely on the information you put out in the morning. I mean, I certainly do. It's like the first email I read.
7
every day.
a.m.,
So,
yeah.
yeah, so-
And your shine.
Yeah.
This here is Sergeant Casimira. Now I'm gonna embarrass her a little bit. So, Casimira's been, she's from Brazil, correct? And been in this country now, how many years? 5, right?
5 years and a half.
5 years and a half, okay? In that time frame, working for us, it was, that just been with Somerville 3 years. And 8 months, when she came on, and you got opportunity hater, everybody knows, I'll give you a chance. We had a corporal's positions come open, and we can't get people at academy fast enough, because we were short staff, everything else, so I waived the academy. She came in number 1 problem with corporal's positions. Okay, and so in 8 months being there, she surpassed a lot of candidates. Then, not too far down the road, less than a year, a little over a year, she tested and became sergeant. She's a sergeant on 2nd shift, and does a fantastic job. But what a great story coming from the country she was to where she is now, and a natural leader. And people look to her, just her passion that she has is pretty amazing. But these are 2 that we chose to send down to the leadership down for women, because goal is today, I believe here, they'll be working on their PowerPoint presentation. They're going to make it so we can teach in-house first to our females, then it will be taught to all supervisors. And then maybe staff as well, and then eventually down to Merrimack County, where we have our academy, and allow other counties to come on in, start with women first, and then start with hopefully bringing other supervisors in, so they have an understanding of how it looks differently from their lens. That, I turn it over.
So I just want to start by saying, we're really grateful for the opportunity and you guys saying yes to, the funds and stuff like that to send us down. I think we both took a ton out of it. We took a ton of notes. We got all the resources and PowerPoints and stuff like that. We all, I emailed them to her and she emailed me stuff. We look forward to putting together an excellent training course and really help mold, the younger females that start with us at the jail, because it's a pretty tough environment, especially for females, and then obviously expand it to, the males and stuff like that. I'm sure they can still take something from it, for sure. There was some excellent topics that they spoke about. Some of them that I wrote down specifically were, leading and influencing without formal authority, how to grow your career, break into, specialized roles like what I do and stuff like that. And obviously Sergeant Casimiro is, driving up there through the ranks, which is excellent. The strengths of female leadership. They touched on a lot of recruiting and retention, but I think Superintendent Henry's got that under wraps. And potentially being a mother or a future mother in law enforcement and the trials and issues with that. So anything to add?
Yes, definitely. It was a very rich experience. Again, I'm also very grateful. So thank you so much for allowing us to be over there and to take that knowledge. We were able to increase our network with people all over the country. Those people that were fellow officers from Hawaii, from all over the place.
Alabama, yeah.
Alabama, yeah, the accent was amazing. Very entertaining to me.
She loved it.
Yeah, we were able to take a lot of notes, like Blease said, and I consider myself that the highlights definitely were about the importance of discussing coaching and mentorship for females. This is obviously naturally a very male dominant environment, and it becomes very challenging, very scary sometimes. I began as an officer as well. Nowadays, I'm a sergeant. I get to be a leader, and I feel that little of the fear at the beginning of their careers and how it is a very thin line whenever they reach that point where they're gonna either stick around but find challenges of advancing in their careers or falling into a bad path that we try to keep them away from. Also strategies to improve retention. That is one of my personal goals. I feel like this is a very good path for females. It's not because it's a male dominant environment that we need to keep females away from it. It is actually, we were able to see in the conference numbers about female in the law enforcement field. They bring more of a comprehensive perspective, less use of force, also de-escalation skills, communication. People are more prone to opening up to females. And we tend to, no offense, guys, we tend to be able to communicate better and to listen as well. So active listening is one of our biggest skills. And lastly, I won't keep you guys too long, but I didn't find a supportive environment to work. I didn't find, and also uniting that where you work and where we work. I must say, thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate that my superintendent has given me since the beginning. I am nowhere near to stop. I plan to sticking around for career. I respect this job a lot, this career. He knows it, he feels it, I know that. And I try to pass that passion to every single officer that comes in to work with us. I like to shape them as we like to see officers be. And in the conference, we were able to be exposed also to the 30 by 30 initiative.
It's just.
Yeah. Which is amazing because for numbers, for example, women constitute less than 14% of sworn officers in the country. And the 30 by 30 has an initiative to have that goal, to have a goal to bring that 14% to 30% whenever we get to 2030.
So.
Yes.
Just, do you want to explain, I'm sure everybody in the room, not everybody in the room knows what the 30 by 30 initiative is, and do you want to do it?
Yeah,
You
just a
can
quick
explain it,
glance.
yeah.
It's
important.
it's a .org, so we can all have access to more information. But it is associations or departments anywhere that is law enforcement field can sign up for it, and they share webinars, they share strategies on how to retain women working in your organizations and how to increase recruiting as well.
And the 30 by 30 stands for having 30% of the workforce in law enforcement be women by the year 2030. So that is the objective. We are so proud to have you guys both working, being representatives for Rockingham County. You're just doing an outstanding job. I know both from a commissioner perspective as well as just a everyday working and thank you for being leaders. Thank you for mentoring. It only grows with great leadership that that you guys are going to have me bring back and offer to other women and men in corrections, because it's not just your leadership is it's so important, not just for women coming up in law enforcement or corrections, but also for the men there too. So thank you for your work.
Well, thank you for coming in today and debriefing us. Rockingham County is well served having you join us, and it seems that the money that we spent to send you to that conference was money well spent. So thank you very much.
And yeah,
And if I may add a couple of words, thank you very much for attending those, and stepping up there. I agree with everything that's been said here. I do think it's very important, these conferences, because you're actually going to places that you share that job with everybody else across the country, and you can share stories and whatnot. So thank you very much. I think just hearing from the both of you, I think that everything's going really well, and I'm really happy to hear that everybody's doing really well, and you're enjoying your leadership positions, and I wish you the best.
Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. Moving on, we have meeting minutes to approve.
sure. I move to approve the November 27th public and non-public meeting minutes, and the December 5th public meeting minutes.
Any discussion on the minutes? Minutes look good to me. Commissioner Chercello,
I'm a yes.
Commissioner Coyle,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Adult medical daycare payout report. This is a discussion. Anybody have any comment on this?
We're when you look at the numbers, we're right on track. We're like 41% through the year, and we're at 37% spent, or 38%, so
So we're right on the,
right on the money. That's, you know, it is. Yeah.
it's a good report. We're monitoring, and I think that we're serving the residents, of Rockingham County with this, supported adult medical daycare. Okay, moving on. Approval for our huge accounts payable list.
I move to approve the December 19th, 2024 accounts payable list total of $5,527,691.01.
Second.
Discussion on this. Chuck, do you want to give us a briefing on why we're spending so much money this week?
Sure, so some of this is obviously in advance of due date, so 1.6 million roughly is the normal state of New Hampshire DHHS bill for November, that's due at the end of this month. And then we just want to make sure there's no issues with, excuse me. So in January, we have our scheduled bond bank payment, and that's for our 3 outstanding bonds. And this one's larger because it has principal portion as well. It's not just interest only is the July installment. And so that amount is almost 2 million. So right there, you have just shy of 3.5 million of the grand total. And then on top of that, you know, we've got some contingent grants expenses, a little bit of contracted nursing. We have 1/2 the deposit for WB Mason for all the FF&E for the new building project. So that's 850,000. If you recall, the total amount to WB Mason was just over 1.7 million. So those amounts in total, you know, make up quite a bit of that 5.5 million.
Yeah.
Thank
It's
you,
like-
Chuck. I only take issue with the comment a little bit for contracted nursing. Only because it's small in comparison to the other invoices that we have, but it's still more money than we really want to spend.
And FHA, we're working
And
to.
we're working hard to change that.
Yes, we're
But-
definitely making steps in the
I
right
mean,
direction
but
that way.
if you take the bill, the bond payment, the state bill and the WB Mason, it's like almost 4.5 million of the
Right.
5.5 million that were, so when you extract that out, we're like consistent with what the prior AP runs have been.
Agreed. Commissioner Chercello?
Thank you. Chuck, with the 2 other bonds, do you know when those expire?
We still have a few years on each because one was the 3 million to finish up the renovations here. So I believe that's 2027, maybe, I believe. And then 2028 is the last year of the $5 million bond for going to a June 30 fiscal year. So I believe that's how it
So-
goes. They fall, I believe it's 27 and 28. I might be off by 1 year on each.
Yeah.
It might be 26 and 27.
Okay, but they fall off
And they fall off,
consecutive years. So
they fall off
it's
in
not that
January.
far out.
and they fall off in January because that's
2
the
years.
principal and interest.
Nice, okay.
Okay, so on the motion to approve the accounts payable list, Commissioner Coyle?
Yes.
Commissioner Chercello?
Yes.
I vote yes.
Thank you.
Okay, approval of payroll expense.
I move to approve the payroll expense in the amount of $1,512,591.95 for the period ending December 14th, 2024.
Discussion on payroll? Must be some holiday end of year extras in here.
It was also the first payroll that we have in a while that there was a delegation meeting.
Mhm.
So, because they had their organizational meeting on December 11th, and we had about, I think it was just shy of 60 representatives come. We had paperwork on most to be able to pay them, but in order for them to be paid, they need to let us know what their mileages and other information to be able to get them into the payroll system, just so we can pay them. And so some unfortunately, I think, did not get paid, but that did add to a little bit of the payroll expense. Obviously, we might have had a little bit of other overtime, and it seems like lately, we've had good news on the hiring, so it's like a net positive number of employees too. So it's, you know, kind of like a good news thing that we have more payroll expense, you know, which would then hopefully mean that we have less overtime, or we have less contracted nursing, so.
Right. Perfect, thank you. On the motion to approve payroll expense. Commissioner Chercello?
Yes.
Commissioner Coyle?
Yes.
I vote yes. All right, Commissioner's Office, Commissioner updates. Anybody have an update they would like to share? No? Okay.
I'll use this opportunity just to say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody. You know, when you talk about, I guess I'll leave also as an opportunity to say thank you, which is, you know, you think about what you're grateful for and we just see how hard everybody is works and that the intentions of everybody is just for the good of the county. And for that, I feel grateful to be part of that team and I wish everyone the happiest of holidays.
Thank you, Kate. This week I had my second opportunity to do the jail inspection and to walk through and listening to the clunking door locks as you go through. I wasn't as intimidated this time as I was the last because they let me out the last time, so I figure they're gonna let me out again.
Come back with a third one.
Third time's a charm.
Challenge accepted.
I can report that the jail is in good shape. It could use some paint in some areas and
Ongoing.
we talked, that's an ongoing project for sure. There was one concern that I had, just in general, I'm not being an expert in corrections, but the mattresses, if you want to call them that, are nothing that any of us would sleep on. Now, maybe that's the deterrent of why you shouldn't, you know, it's not the Hilton, I get it. And why you should avoid behavior that would put you in that position. But they seemed really thin to me. And I don't know what the solution to that is, or if there's a reasonable solution, but when we start moving towards replacing those mattresses, I'd like to at least be presented with the options that might improve that a bit. Because I believe if you treat people well, the inmates will behave a little bit better. At least that's my hope in human behavior. But aside from that, everything is great. Everybody was polite and very open. I walked in and talked to whoever I wanted. And it was free. It didn't feel like they would say, "Oh, don't go in that room." You know, it was nothing like that. So yeah, I'm impressed with the operations we have in corrections. So it's pleased to see
They always
that.
do water beds.
And Merry Christmas to everybody, since we won't be back until the new year. All right. Next, we have discussion for posting all the received bids on the public website for public inspection. This discussion I asked to put on here is specifically related to the gentleman that was here last week, I don't remember his name. It was interested in our bid results. And I reviewed what we've been doing and the spreadsheets that had been created in the past. And I still hold the position that we should not be doing any additional work. But at the same time, this is public information. So I had inquired with Layla how, you know, where the information was, and she indicated that she has a folder, an electronic folder, with all of the information. So I was asking if that folder could be made public or could be made accessible to the person or persons who may be interested in going through the paperwork.
I think that, are you?
Yeah.
Okay. It is accessible. So if, you know, and from speaking to Jude, who predominantly is getting these requests, if somebody asks for it, they're given it. You know, I think you sort of emphasize this point and I'm gonna re-emphasize it. It is not our obligation to add work to our organization to make life easier for a private corporation.
Agreed.
And I think that was my concern. By all accounts, that information, and perhaps Jude can speak to it better than me, there's no doubt, but that if the request comes in, hey, can you give me that information is sent out. So I don't think we need to do anything different than we're already doing. We're already supplying that information. We already comply with 91A to the extent that someone requested and it's open. We talk about the bids, just like we did with Sistema. It's like, we talked about the range of bids, where they came in. For that specific information, they can request it, but I see no point to change anything that we're doing right now because we do offer transparency and accountability and make the information readily available when someone requests it.
Commissioner Chercello would like to
I
add
say
anything?
nothing because it doesn't matter what I say. Seems it's going one way or the other. But personally, if you go to the website, you got 5 years of Excel spreadsheet, everything's in there. The only thing they didn't put in is a number. Pretty I think it's a pretty easy thing to accomplish. Especially when people start talking about transparency and other counties are doing it. I don't see it as a big far reach, but, I'm not looking at it as a person that's, one person making that observation. I'm looking at it as a public piece that you should be able to go on there and look at those numbers, but having said that, that's.
Jude, you're the one that receives the requests when this information is somebody is looking for it. Would it relieve you of any work if you could simply direct the person to say, okay, here's the credentials to go and get what you want out of the folder and have at it and then not have to deal with it, or is it of
It's
no
just as
consequence?
easy to send. We've already made the spreadsheet for the commissioner's review. It's just as easy to email them.
So you don't think it's necessary to make any
No,
changes?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right, well. If we're gonna do anything, we'll take it up at another meeting. This was simply discussion, and if I'm not interested in fixing a problem that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
If we're fulfilling our obligation, if we get further complaints or concerns from somebody in the public, then we'll address it then.
Yeah, and I think even said it's like, this individual that came last week he's still getting the information
Right.
readily.
Yeah.
It's just, he wants it.
He wants it a nice,
Okay.
neat Excel file, and that would mean somebody's gonna have to take time to go and collect all that data, and, quite frankly, I think that should be a staff that does that, as long as he has access to the information. I don't want anyone to think that we're holding anything back. We're just not compiling,
Yeah, we're
in a
not doing
nice,
all-
neat spreadsheet for everybody.
Exactly.
Okay, any more on that discussion?
Well, just real quick, if you go to the website and you see 5 or 6 years of bid results and you click on the link, it opens to Excel spreadsheet. It does tell you who the winning bid is. It gives you the number. Then it just tells you who bid. That's all inputted already. So the only thing that's not plugged in is the number that they put in for a bid. If you guys think that that's too much to ask for the public transparency, then that's up to you. I don't see it as anything. I just think it was a reasonable request.
Okay, thank you. All right, move on to the PRB construction agreement approval.
I move to approve the PRB Construction Incorporated Agreement for the Phase 1 Reduced Scope Wastewater Treatment Facility Upgrades for an amount not to exceed $495,000 as awarded on December 12th, 2024, and authorize the acting chair to sign all necessary documents as recommended by the Senior Director of Facilities Planning and IT and Coughlin Environmental Services Embassy.
Okay, discussion on this large, lengthy contract. The only concern that I have on the contract is that, Primex made quite a few changes to it.
I believe the vendor accepted all the
Accepted.
changes. There was, they had asked for a higher level of insurance
Yeah.
because the initial contract they reviewed was for the closer to $4 million number. So they were recommending, I think it was 5 and 3 million, and instead, the vendor is asking us to have the customary 2 and 1, I
2-in-1,
think it
yeah.
is, which is customary. It's a $500,000 project, so that was the only change. I think.
And everyone was in agreement. They accepted all of Primex's changes, and that's
Yes.
incorporated into the.
Yes, sir.
Do I have this isn't the corrected one. This is the fully executed, ready to sign. Okay. Okay, well, if those items are in there. I'm good with all of that.
Thank you.
Any other further discussion? If not, on the motion, Commissioner Chercello?
Yeah.
Commissioner Coyle?
Yes.
I vote yes. All right, moving on to Grant Memorial, Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant.
To accept the award for the fiscal year 2024 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant Grant in the amount of $24,866 and authorize the Senior Director of Finance to act as the county's authorized representative, granting him the authority to electronically sign all necessary documents in the Just Grant system as recommended by the Senior Director of Finance.
Any discussion? Commissioner Coyle?
Yes.
Commissioner Chercello?
Yes.
I vote yes.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, DHHS pilot program.
I move to approve a 9-month extension for the pilot program grant with New Hampshire DHHS to delay or defer institutional care, extending the contract expiration date to December 31st, 2025, with no changes to the level of grant funding by the state as recommended by the Senior Director of Long-Term Care Services and Senior Director of Finance.
Perfect.
Discussion on the extension of this grant.
Just quickly. So in prior discussions with DHHS, Wendy Altman of DHHS had mentioned that CMS was willing to grant a waiver to extend at no additional dollars.
Yeah.
The performance period of the grant. The original performance period was set to expire at 3/31 of next year, though it's funny because I think we're all talking like 6/30, but it was 3/31/25. So this is just a 9-month extension out to the end of the calendar year, at least give a full year or approximately a full year of the grant being truly operational to see what the results are and allow the state to make maybe a better policy decision down the road as far as, you know, for if this is a way or strategy that they want to implement for, you know, deferring or delaying institutional care.
And that month, I'm sorry.
That, Commissioner Chercello.
Thank you. And that money was encumbered in the previous year's budget, the state, right? So it's not,
Right, so, so the state has, it's nothing for the state. It was
we're not
just for
getting anything
CMS.
additional.
Right, it's no dollars, so the state's all set, it just gets rolled forward.
I'm just concerned because I know at the state level, the governor has required everyone to cut their budget by 4%. So I just want to make sure that that money was set aside and that we're not gonna lose any money. Even
No,
though we're
because
extending, we're not losing
because
money.
this is in the current budget cycle, if you want to think if the state's budgeting for grants, then it's gonna be, it was part of the state fiscal year 25.
Okay,
So,
And given that we haven't really gotten, you know, we're just getting up and running.
It went live for October 1st. We had technically on the site that people could apply. We didn't have any. The new woman, Christine, who has since joined on, has partnered very closely with one of the agencies, excuse me, and actually does office hours there. And I believe the last update, we had like 7 or so people that have since applied. Some components of that with the transportation piece, that's a barrier for them right now. And some of them, I believe their families are often transportation for the time. So we actually have been able to have some individuals. I can get the exact number for next week from her, but we have started to see some movement.
So it's nice to extend just to see if we can help the community,
Yeah,
you know, for our own, you know, efforts to help.
We had significant delays. I think that we're in a good place right now, and this is gonna give us a full year to
Great.
go through the program and then give the state an evaluation. It is a pilot program. I'm hoping and kind of assuming that there will be an opportunity for it to continue if we show them the appropriate success. And this really does allow us the time to have a successful program.
And hopefully in our next motion, we'll be addressing the barriers, some of the barriers regarding transportation, so.
Commissioner
yeah, I was
Chercello.
just curious whether we had anything on the county's website for the program. Just to get that message out, because in my neck of the woods in western Rockingham County, they may not know as well.
So I know that it has its own website. Jess was looking to find a way to incorporate it into our county website. The predecessors who were the initial, I don't remember the exact company that they enrolled with that allowed it to go onto the service link piece, so that that was kind of in process, which is where is kind of the information hub that's count, would go across multiple. And then Wendy at the state was looking to add it to somewhere on their site as
Yeah.
well.
Okay, so there is a site that can you
Yeah,
send me, can
yeah.
someone send me that by email? When you get a free chance, no rush or anything, but thank you.
And one final thing on this topic. We have a new director, Christine. I don't know how long, she hasn't been with us that long, a month maybe.
Around there.
I would enjoy to have her invited to come to one of our meetings and give us an update at some appropriate time. No specific time period, but maybe sometime in January would be nice to hear, what progress, what she's learned, where she thinks that the direction of this ought to be going. That would be, I think, helpful to all of us. Okay, on the motion, Commissioner Coyle?
Yes.
Commissioner Chercello?
Yeah.
I vote yes. All right, next is the Silverthorne Transportation Services Agreement.
I move to approve the Silverthorne Transportation Services Agreement in the amount of $4,632 per month per mileage plus mileage for transportation services for participants in the county's pilot program grant with New Hampshire DHHS, who will be receiving services at Silverthorne Adult Day Center, and authorize the acting chair to sign all necessary documents as recommended by the Senior Director of Finance.
Second.
Okay, discussion on this.
We touched.
Okay, so
Everybody ready?
Yeah.
this is this is an amount of money that we are taking, that's been offered to us in the grant to go and assist with the program. And I've reviewed the contract and I have a couple of concerns. One of the concerns is that some of the wording is vague. Right in the beginning, it says Silverthorne shall provide a suitable vehicle in good working order for providing transportation services for participants. A suitable vehicle seemed a little bit vague to me. Rather than saying, I don't know what a suitable vehicle is. And it
There's some-
seems like it ought to be called out.
But I think that the issue is that and sometimes you want to intentionally a little vague, or because depending on the needs of those who have to be transported. Right? You need a van, do you
Agreed.
need,
And I guess I was interested in a little bit more detail there. And there was also a line that said, shall maintain adequate insurance coverage. Again, it was a little subjective. And then at the end, there's like a budget. It would appear that we're paying, or they're suggesting that we pay $39,000 in wages for driver. And then there's a line called fringe for $11,700. I don't know what that is. And then there's a line for vehicle insurance that apparently the vehicle is owned by Silverthorne, and we are looking to pay for their insurance for the year. So I don't know, I discussed this with Chantel yesterday. Maybe you can shed a little bit of light on this.
I'm gonna refer to Chuck. I did follow up with Chuck after, but he truly has done the legwork around the contract, and I just feel like he just intends for me to take credit for. He's done a lot.
So forgive me, but like fringe is like the common like industry term as far as. Just, and usually it's at somewhere around 30%. Glendale, I think it's 37%. But usually the industry norm across different industries actually is like 30%. Fringe basically means, and you see this in language and grants too. In fact, even with the ARPA grant with county attorneys, fringe basically just means the employer portion of payroll expenses and employee benefits. So it can be many things: employer FICA, employer retirement, employer dental, employer portion of
Roll-ups.
workers' comp. It
Roll-up.
could be, it's just a quick term instead of spelling everything out. And this is a 30% calc, and that's a normal percentage. The wage piece is basically $25. It's broken down to monthly billing, just instead of trying to go by, how many pay dates exactly did Silverthorne have in each month? Instead, just take the total amount for the year, divide by 12, what's that number? Suitable was left ambiguous because do we want to say a 10-person van, a 12-person
Yeah.
bus, handicap accessible, or, I don't know what
intentional.
consistent vehicle would be available. We just want to make sure it's suitable and good working order to be for transportation of participants in this program. And then insurance later on is stipulated about vehicle insurance and other insurance. So adequate insurance and all those insurance thresholds are actually what we follow in our RFP process, that are at the back end. So adequate insurance is like further defined, further into the, on page 2. As far as of the 4 pages, as far as all the different insurance, including, motor vehicle, as far as the limits.
Great, thank you. I have one more question. How much money is available in this grant that we would disperse? And I'm trying to get a handle on how much of that money we're spending on this part of the project.
Well, I heard some of the questions, and unfortunately I memorized the top level. It was 568,000 plus a carry forward of like 2,400 from that wasn't spent from the prior fiscal year the state was allowing us to bring forward. As far as the amounts for this, I think initially we had it was probably 69,000, I think, as far as for direct assistance. And that's the difference between the private rate and the Medicaid rate. That's where we're trying to get additional people in. That's the incentive for Easter, Seals, and for Silverthorne. That this program, as far as assistance to them, because those organizations would already be getting Medicaid individuals. That's one of the requirements by DHHS, that all these individuals have to be both Medicaid and Medicare eligible. So the way to get these, or to be incentive for these 2 entities was to, again, still give them something over and above Medicaid. And so that's what the assistance piece is, difference between the private rate that they're charging and the Medicaid rate. These amounts, so initially we had 3 actually transporters.
3 transporters in the grant.
And so, and that rate was initially gonna be 25, I think, an hour, and so that's exactly what this 39,000 is 25 an hour. And so this would be, allowable transfer from it could be our internal, wages and fringe category down into transportation or contracted services. And the state was already okay with it. What would happen is if this contract is approved, when I submit the next expense reimbursement to DHHS, they use this Excel template file. There's another worksheet on that file, another worksheet tab that allows you to request to have a transfer between budget categories. And so they basically, this would just be coming from our own budget category and moving down on their contracted services. So it'd be like a 1-for-1 transition or movement from what we had, thinking we're gonna have our own individuals now down instead of being contracted services. So it wouldn't impact the amount that was set aside to provide or get, people into the program. It's not taken away from that.
Okay, great. Thank you for that detailed explanation. Commissioner Churchill.
Yeah, just a couple of quick questions. So it looks like it's roughly right around 50,000 for the year, correct?
Yes.
But it says then plus mileage. So is the mileage the federal rate?
Well, we had this, the proposal was the current federal rate. So the 67 is current federal rate. If it happens to go up and the contract's 67, it's not. Mileage reimbursement doesn't have to be beholden to the federal rate. It's just for this contract purpose, it was put in as the current federal rate.
And so how are we gonna verify mileage? Just what they're gonna report? What the
Yes,
mileage
they're
is?
supposed to submit. What's gonna happen is, that there's gonna be a fixed monthly billing according to the last page of that 4632. And then there'll be a 1-month lag that when submitting, like say in February they're submitting the invoice for February's, normal installment, they're gonna give us January actual mileage.
Okay. And then lastly, so this is a grant money and I understand that. And I'm gonna, I think it's a good idea. I just wanna throw something out. In 2 years, it goes away. So if that program, if Silverthorne comes back and says, we wanna continue this program, you're gonna have to raise taxes or whatever. That's number 1. But here's one other piece that you should consider. So in that area, we have a federal program called CART, C-A-R-T. That's what they do. They bring people back and forth. That could have been done at a no cost, but it is what it is. Like I said, I'll support this, but know that the program ends in a couple of years and either you want to continue, it's coming out of operating, or you go the cart route.
But the issue with CART is that they provide services to all sorts of places. What we were trying to do is the benefit of this is that it's
Yes.
very specific to the needs and ensures really, if there's not availability for, with CART, you're not guaranteed availability because there could be, going someplace else or so this is to facilitate very specific the needs. of-
Oh, I understand that. I'm just saying it runs up.
Yeah, and I think during all of the conversations that have been had and continue to happen with the agency. We've been very honest about that, because some of the conversations we had, which was a concern for them, was. As discussed in the last motion with the extension, was that they would be hiring someone and that it's not even a year.
Yeah.
And having to kind of adjust those pieces. So those were some of the concerns that were brought back that were then discussed on the call with DHHS, which was part of the component with the extension in some ways. But the Silverthorne is well aware that this is a grant, that this is, hopefully would become something that would be wonderful. But we've been very upfront and honest that there is an expiration date on it,
Okay.
and so they're
That's
well aware of that.
Yeah, just one more quick question, if you don't mind. Is there a certain, radius that they're gonna go to pick up people? If somebody from Derry wants to go to Silverthorne, will they be able to call up and get transportation?
I believe that it's going to kind of be in the area of the agency. But I know that there's conversations that have had, for Easter Seals that has more of a presence down in that part of the area. To see if we can mimic in some ways or do something similar to offset for that market as well.
So the answer is,
I don't know that they would go that far, but I don't know that we have asked it as bluntly as that, and it's something we can inquire on.
yes, please, because if it's Salem specific, that's only getting to benefit from this, that's concerning, that's all.
Well, individuals can still facilitate transportation through CART on one by one basis. It doesn't preclude use of CART for an individual, but
Oh, no, I
No,
fully,
I know,
I
I'm
fully
just saying.
understand that. I'm talking about, we're doing a program and we're spending money. I'm not talking, I understand people can drive themselves down there. It's just if we're gonna create this program, I wanna see the most benefit you can get. And if it's just town specific,
Yeah, and I,
Okay, so it's not town specific, it's Greater Salem, and I've spoken with folks at Silverthorne. And some of their concerns were they had folks that wanted to join them from Hampstead and Atkinson and some other surrounding, they didn't mention specifically Derry. But, other surrounding towns, and they did not have the availability to transport them. And this was a year ago when I had a meeting with them, that they had that issue. And this is a pilot program. So really, we're in a learning phase. We think that this is going to be a good solution. It's being recommended to us. Explanation that Chuck gave me satisfied my interest in the details of the contract. The contract term is for 1 year. So this time next year, we'll be talking about what happens then. It's not really a long-term project. And I'm hoping that Silverthorne will be able to figure out how to put this in their own budget.
yeah,
Moving forward, and
And-
unless we're able to get another grant, if this pilot program
And
keeps going.
I can't speak to their budget, obviously, but one of the things that was shared, I think in the partnership with Christine, we've gotten a lot more traction in kind of making this work with Silverthorne. So that's kind of why I think there's more forward movement for that program, because it's been a more collaborative experience to make that accessible. So that's one component of it, but one of the pieces to it that I think is really important to share. So she's been doing office hours there, working with where families are, and she met a family. And they have their loved one that attends, and her children are the ones that are bringing her currently. And she met with this family. This family was having to make decisions on whether or not their loved one would be able to continue to go, because the ability to transport was becoming so strenuous and unattainable that there was a potential that their loved one was gonna have to come out of the program. because they weren't gonna be able to get her there. So the potential of being able to supplement that with the transportation is now gonna allow this woman to continue to do the day program that she's been ingrained in without the continued stress of the family, which truly is the goal, because if she doesn't have that interaction, that oversight, then she's likely going to end up kind of in an institution or nursing home, assisted, whatever that may be. Because of that, and transportation has been a huge barrier where they've had individuals on a wait list that want to come and they just don't have any way to get there. They don't have family or someone local. So I think it would be wonderful that this is successful, and however it kind of happens, whether it's on their side or a grant side. But I do think that the transportation is a huge barrier in so many ways for both current and potential.
And I think just like, we should be celebrating this. This is a great, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of naysaying, but this is fantastic. It's a pilot program. We're getting resources out so that we can do transportation. We're gonna try to grow it. We can't start everything on, we're not gonna come out with this large, robust program on day one where transportation is always difficult. I think it's just fantastic that we got a collaboration together so that we can facilitate this, because this is so instrumental to growing and developing the program. So thank you. It's like,
Yeah, no, I agree.
I mentioned this two quick things, really quick. So Chronic State have a comment as
favorite
far
last
as,
words.
if they do background checks, or fingerprinting, I didn't propose that to be in the contract, so I would be thinking, or I may respond to assume, I know it can happen when we all assume, but that Silverthorne was already doing some of that, some portion of that, and they do indeed do background checks, and they get a driver's report from the state as well.
Great.
So they're already doing that. And also Christine recently let me know too, after Silverthorne had agreed to this, that she had some initial discussions, I guess, with Easter Seals, and they were amenable to a similar arrangement
awesome.
too.
I mean, this could
So-
just be the start of a new sort of model. Yeah, a new business model for this. So, and where we've been, the other thing is with these adult medical daycare facilities, what we're seeing is it's shrinking because it's not financially feasible. So this might be the opportunity to grow it, and make it more financially feasible for these adult medical daycare facilities. And, who knows, if we can show some proven success, maybe this is something the state is going to want to invest in longer term. It would help. So,
Okay, on the motion to approve this program. Commissioner Chercello,
Yes,
Commissioner Coyle?
yes,
I vote yes.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to the ARPA projects.
right. I move to approve the December 19th, 2024 ARPA project analysis as recommended by the Senior Director of Finance. Do you want me to just make all three motions
Sure.
now? I move to reallocate any subsequently approved but unobligated funds as of December 30th, 2024 from revenue replacement projects to the new municipal building project number 6.1.J. And finally, I move to reallocate any subsequently approved but unobligated funds as of December 30th, 2024 for all other ARPA projects to ARPA project number 1.4.F County Complex HVAC portion of the new municipal project building project.
second,
Say that.
Discussion, Chuck, would you give us the
Yeah,
walnut size?
Thank
Walnut
you,
size.
Chuck. I can't imagine how much time this took.
There's lots
to-
of moving parts, and this is so updated that's through today's AP run and through tomorrow's payroll, and through also incorporates any outstanding balances of ARPA purchase orders as well. So, yeah, so it's going through whatever we're up to now, 50, 60, whatever projects. So, what I've done is in the file, we did have probably about 10 projects that had some approved but unobligated funds. I had proposed that for these ones that most of them moved over to the wastewater treatment facility upgrades, because we have two major projects going on. The $495,000 one that the agreement was just approved today, And then we have one with electrical upgrades, that's about 375 or so thousand. That Richardson Electric and Richardson Engineering is taking care of. So just between those two, I mean, initially, we had set aside about 2 million for water related projects,
Right.
aside from the building piece. And I think we're probably at 3 million anyways, 3.5 million anyways. And so that's why you see lots of the comments I did for any of the updates are in bold and italics out to the right. So proposing that we kind of, there's like maybe 4,300 for like a resident communications one. There was like 6,000 for remote station work setups. There's a little bit for Ascom Wireless. I did make a comment that, or I have in yellow a couple items that are currently not, they're approved and not yet obligated, but most likely would be by the year end. Two of which are the COVID testing
Oh, yeah.
project and also the special 10K PPE project. I can already say that Donna Dean Central Supply has already worked up requisitions amounting to about 8,700. So she's well on her way to take care of that other, the 19,500 or so that's showing. And I talked to her this morning as well about it.
Sure.
On the and then there's also amounts for LA M&A programs and other LTC training programs. I'm just asking that the board is, as part of all this too, because we can't really do one vendor in Munis for this, because people are obviously doing their trainings at different, educational, platforms, organizations. And so I just requested the board would be okay with that amount being explicitly encumbered as well. Yes, so stipends it is a different piece. But yes, the stipends, I'm asking separately for the balance to be encumbered. The board already approved the $500,000 overall for the project, but I updated what the expenses were between the wage piece, the actual stipend, the employer FICA, employer retirement. And just using how the percentages were spent between those three Munis expense accounts, how to encumber that remaining amount and fully obligate it so the federal government's okay with it as of year end. And on that one, I guess, because that's probably the biggest one, obviously, that we have that was approved, not spent yet. That so far, we've done not quite 200,000. There's just over 300,000 left. But again, we keep on bringing on new nursing employees. So I fully expect that we'll be able to, fully utilize
Yeah.
that stipend
Thank you,
and hopefully
Chantal.
not lose those individuals that we currently have
Yeah.
too. So.
Commissioner Chercello,
Thank you.
did you have something?
I
Yeah.
did, I think. And so it just dawned on me last week in my town of Derry, they also received ARPA money, but it was interesting to find out that the town actually obligated the interest when they held that money that they got for ARPA. Did we do the same thing? I mean, they used the interest that they made on the ARPA money as part of ARPA money being obligated and spent.
No, that was not part of this.
I'm just telling you how we did it Tuesday night.
Okay.
With my finance director and my town administrator. Had all those figures.
I mean, you could have.
We got $3 million,
I
but
mean, you could dedicate it, well,
they put some of that money in bank, obviously, as they
Okay.
dwindled it down and spent
Right.
it. But any interest that was made on that number, they also had to figure that into the calculation of obligating it.
was that because it was an amount that was received from the state?
It was just ARPA money.
Okay, that wasn't
It wasn't, it was ARPA money received from the federal government, not the state. It wasn't a grant from the state. We only got $3 million. I'm just throwing that out there because I was kind of surprised to see that myself.
Money's with that guy.
Chuck, do we receive ARPA money and put it in the bank before it gets distributed, or do we have to encumber it before we actually receive the cash?
No, so many grants are reimbursement nature. This one wasn't. Many of the COVID era ones were not a reimbursement type. It's more like you get the money up front. In this case, ARPA came in 2 separate installments
Yeah,
over 2 years. And so we got 3 million at one point, and then another 30 million. And then you put and then the money did go into the account, and then basically you need to, the requirements were you get to spend it amongst these multitude of different categories
Right.
and submit quarterly reporting, do an annual performance, like review essentially, recovery plan and an update narratively. And then obviously with the requirement by 12/31/24, all money is obligated and performance period through the end of,
Yeah.
2026.
The question at hand is, did we get interest on that money?
Yes, you get interest on it.
And what happens with that interest? Is that encumbered?
No,
Do we
that's-
add that to
was-
the
I
interest,
don't
or do we
believe that
just
is a
put it-
requirement. I believe that it could have been, a local requirement, or if there was something that came from the state. Because my understanding was the county's got, and only certain other, entities or New Hampshire cities got their own allotments directly of ARPA.
Yeah, we had 3 million there. Anyway, I'll go offline and talk to you offline, if I can call Mark Flesher and find out what they did. I don't know. I'm just concerned that if something happened, you know what I'm saying, and you lose that money, it gets clawed back, so. I don't,
I think you're referring to if
Interest.
there was interest gain, did we get to use the interest?
yeah, so
That-
what the town did is the interest that they received, they also used that as interest from ARPA money, and we had to obligate it, and you have to spend it by a certain time.
So are you getting that, Chuck? Do you understand the question?
No, I understand the question.
Okay,
I understand.
you want to get back to us next week on that, or
Sure.
actually, well?
My money's with that guy.
No, and I agree.
Just saying that.
I don't have a clear view of what we did with the interest that we made. We got $60 million over
There-
2 years, and there was obviously some interest in there.
My recollection is ARPA, there was state and local fiscal recovery funds, there wasn't. If you're talking about like, the CARES Act funds, yes, there were. And actually, I had to separately impute that interest, because there wasn't a requirement to do a separate bank account. But you had at least do record of the interest, so I can tell you for a fact that the CARES Act, infection prevention stuff, and anything that was in that PRF portal, yes. Provider relief fund, PRF. But as far as SLFRF, I don't recollect that, I have the word on encumbering or obligating interest was a piece of that. There were, Davis-Bacon didn't apply really explicitly unless you were like a Washington DC capital project of any amount. There are many things that did not pertain to SLFRF that pertain to just about all the other COVID grant programs. So.
Okay,
Paul,
any more comment, or can we vote on the motion?
my money's with that guy. But I just have, just briefly, I mean, Chuck, it is mind boggling. We all sit in this room and we're all like, our minds are like, because for 2 reasons. One, thank you for taking the time to so thoroughly go through all the project codes, all the project and what money's left to make sure that the county do not lose to any money whatsoever that we're giving back to the federal government. You have done yeoman's work to reallocate and reapportion that. And I think it's like, we're so fortunate to be able to say we have utilized all the money so well. So thank you for that. And thank you for that secondary piece of your efforts to understand the rules and regulations and to make sure that we're so fully compliant and reporting as well as understanding the parameters for our use.
Okay, so seeing no more discussion on these 3 motions that were combined. Commissioner Coyle,
Yes.
Commissioner Chercello.
yes.
I vote yes.
Thank you.
I'd like to call a very brief recess for 2 minutes.
Sorry, I'm talking. There's lots of stuff.
We had $5 million spent. This is a $9 million spent.
I don't have any.
Okay, we are back from our brief recess, and we'll continue with our discussions on the ARPA projects. Commissioner Coyle has a motion to share with us on that topic.
Thank you. I'm gonna, if I butcher it, please indulge me. I move to to approve the encumbrance of the remaining $312,408.17 that's approved but unspent as of December 20th, 2024, and obligate the balance of funds for this ARPA project by the federal deadline with respect to ARPA project 3.2.B for nursing stipend.
Second.
Okay, discussion on this motion.
Just consistent with that's with respect to the money for the nursing stipends.
Right, it wasn't listed on our agenda.
Correct.
This was just an omission.
Yes. Well,
Okay,
it's a
like
late
submission.
submission
Okay, fine.
because we had to get the exact numbers, which
Got it.
Chuck was getting.
Got it, okay. Any other discussion on that? Okay, on the motion, Commissioner Coyle
Yes.
and Commissioner Chercello?
Yes.
I vote yes. All right, now we'll move on to Human Resources Quest Lab Diagnostic Testing Services Agreement.
I move to approve the Quest Diagnostic Substance Abuse Testing Services Agreement for pre-employment testing as recommended by the Senior Director of Human Resources.
Second.
Discussion,
No, sounds like they also did a good job.
yeah, straightforward. On the motion, Commissioner Coyle,
Yes.
Commissioner Chercello?
Yeah.
I vote yes. Long-term care services chaplain service agreement.
I move to approve the chaplain agreement amendment to include several services to long-term care in the amount of $1,378.23 bi-weekly for the period beginning January 13th, 2025 through June 30th, 2025, for a total of $16,538.76. And I authorize the acting chair to sign all necessary documents as recommended by the Senior Director of Long-Term Care Services.
Any comment on this?
I do, maybe Justin, I think the county is we're very lucky to have the chaplains coming in. She's over at the jail, like I said before, she's bilingual, we have an army of people that come in for religious stuff that she brought almost, 40 people or more. She is passionate. I just can't say enough about it. We're so happy. So I think the nursing home to be able to pick her up and do here is, you guys are very fortunate. So I'm just happy for this county that we're able to have her be basically full-time for our county.
No fire and brimstone?
No,
Okay.
not at all.
I mean, she's been, it's just like
We're very lucky.
really
Yeah.
a great
Our
find.
our side's very excited to kind of be able to expand the services within the nursing homes for additional pieces. And even during the meeting with the team, she had so many wonderful ideas in addition that will bring so much value. So our team's very excited to hopefully be able to have this partnership and add that value to our residents.
And we're very collaborative, she can slide needs here, needs there. She shows up for critical incidents on us when we have middle of the night. So, and you remember some of you were around how hard it was for me to get a chaplain when they left, and we were searching forever. So, we raised some money to get a good chaplain, and it's really worked out. And now it's expanding further for this county at a fairly low cost.
That's great. Thank you guys both,
Okay,
and thank you for your collaboration.
any other discussion? Commissioner Coyle,
Yes.
Commissioner Chercello?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Thank you.
All right, department head updates.
Allison Kivakowski, Senior Director of Human Resources. Good day, everyone. The Human Resource Office will have their holiday potluck today, and the commissioners are welcome to stop in if they would like. We have been just very busy. I'm working with a cross-section of the county division directors with a number of different initiatives and issues that are going on. We still have some workers' comp things going on out there. And we just, I'm remaining active in trying to get an agreement for our medical director. I'm just waiting for Primex to get back to me on that with some stuff. And we're just kind of taking a breath and enjoying the holiday today, and then just keeping up with our other activities going into the new year. I'm prepping for negotiations in the coming year. I've started to work some background work on the four groups that we will be working with.
Four union
Four
contracts?
union contracts that we will be working with, yes. So I've already started prep behind the scenes, because that will come very fast. Thank you.
Superintendent Henry.
Morning, everybody. Jason Henry. Couple of things, had a meeting this week with Prime Care for quarterly stuff. I had Chuck come on over because we're looking for them to break down certain things, help us with the grants. We need them to break down their billing. So hopefully Chuck made a beautiful spreadsheet, should be plug and play for them. We will continue working with them and see if that works out for him. Then he stayed for our little holiday festival in Yankee Swap, so he got to participate in that. We had a good time, right, Chuck?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I even stole his his gift, so nice.
Would you get a low number?
I had the worst number.
The fix was in, the fix was in.
Oh, the new guy's here.
Yeah, exactly.
141 in-house, I'd like a couple things here, recently, we had we re-looked into an attorney trying to possibly do a lawsuit against us for an incident that happened with an inmate, basically, a dollar bond, blah, blah, blah. Poking around, what was nice, after they got all our reports and how we treated the individual and everything was documented, everything else, they said, yeah, we're all set, we're not representing this person anymore, and we told them, you've got nothing there. So, because, again, we keep pushing our staff, their reports, their documentation is what saves us from having to go through these things, because if we didn't have that, might be a different story. So I'm great,
Excellent.
moving in the right direction on that end. Ran out things going on inside the jail. We had some flooring done in multiple different places that epoxying. People are a little displaced right now. So my office is the Lieutenant Norton's and investigators. They're using my office because we have investigations they need to write up. So they're in there for now because that area is closed off and classifications closed off. So we got a little shuffling going on, but the floor looks great. I'm putting water on. It's very shiny. So staff's happy. So that's going very well. One thing I talk about is our van that we have, which we do most of our transports on, which is loaded with cameras, those kinds of things to protect ourselves. The technology is no good, doesn't work. So I got a quote on that for about right around $7,500. When you looking at a budget somewhere, maybe I have to come back for a transfer. I'm sure I can find it in some of my
What
lines.
was it? What's,
The cameras.
oh,
for
the
van.
the backups?
No, inside, look at keep an eye on the inmates and those kinds of things. So, I've been looking at that, see where I can, with Catherine, to see where I can either move money or figure out what to do.
Yeah.
It's important, we have to get that done. Thank you. Okay, so last thing is, had a Zoom meeting this week with superintendents, some representatives from the court as well, and State Oregon Association of Counties, or two things. One, FCC ruling that came out, basically, the phone companies can't take any profit off the phones, we can't get any commissions. Right now, it's not an issue until our contract's up in 26. Some other ones are up now. So depending what technologies you have and where you structure things. You may be looking at having to purchase to keep the technologies. I won't know, they're working on now to see what that's gonna be for us, but some other counties are already doing it. Who didn't have much revenue to get back, they could be paying a substantial amount to keep it. Like Massachusetts, there was a lawsuit and all the jails, everything down there, all phone calls are free, everything's free. There was a lawsuit done by a group. They won through the courts. So now.
You get a card, you get a card.
Yeah, exactly. Because it was too much for families and blah, blah, that kind of stuff. But they wanted to keep all that technology because it's phone recordings. We've stopped murders. We've stopped domestic violence. It's all those kinds of things that we have. Investigator Pro, which are key words for us and those kinds of things. A lot of investigations, which we use the county attorney's office all the time, looking for stuff, the chiefs of police, everything else. So Massachusetts is paying, the state is paying hundreds of thousands of dollars across the state to keep that technology. That same group came forward and said, well, I thought this was free. Sure, it's not free for the inmates, but the state's paying for it. Same thing from down the road for us. I'll have to be, unless it changes with administration, FCC changes the ruling and everything else, which is always a possibility. I will be looking at what that's gonna cost us in 2026 to keep the technology.
And I will bring that forward to let you know my recommendations, what we can let go, not let go, and what the impact will be, but just FYI. Then we also talked about magistrates. So as of January 1, magistrates start working with the state hired 3 of them. What it is for is I believe there are 12 crimes that the bail commissioners cannot set bail on. There are magistrates to set it on. And those 12 crimes, they have to be seen within 24 hours. Also, but a good note, there was bail commissioners were paid by the individuals there for $40 and half the time they have the money. Now the courts are gonna pay the bail commissioners $60. They submit their stuff and pay within 90 days. That's actually a huge benefit.
Especially for police departments so that they can find, bail commissioners will come out.
Yes.
So
Yes,
that's,
we have bail commissioners that are owed thousands and thousands of dollars. I knew a guy that owed $5,000, but the court would never go after dental services. So we have black bail commissioners.
the issue is that with the magistrates is that it's gonna be the weekend, so it's a staffing issue from a jail perspective, a little bit about who's gonna.
Well, it is. So there's 3 magistrates that are gonna be available on, our magistrate available on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, if it's a holiday, between 9 AM and 1. You'll have to get on
Did you get the-
probably telephonically. And not only that, telephonically with the inmate and where they're being held, be it PD or us. And they want the arresting agency also on a phone call at that time. So you're trying to be coordination. We had lengthy conversation about that. Well, one horse shows, they're out doing stuff. Well, who's getting on? The magistrates will still have to make a decision. The bail, no bail. If they do set a bail and then they have the money, then you gotta call bail commissioner to come out anyways to take the bail money. If they set cash bail, they have
Is
it.
that how it's working practically?
And that's what it's gonna be working, yeah.
I'm curious from my other end of things, which is the police departments, the courts, nobody has received any guidance.
And we
so-
talked about that this week. So chiefs of police have a Zoom meeting coming up. I think it's next week. I have another meeting where we set up for line staff, Zoom for all 10 counties. They have a Zoom meeting coming up for the courts. They haven't even done the training for the bail commissioners yet. Let's put it this way, it's typical state stuff. They're not ready to go for January 1. With that being said, if they don't get their stuff together, those people that are on those charges, bail commissioners can't set bail. So, we're gonna be looking at it basically, because I'm not gonna let them go. Because these are high crimes, they're talking about murder, rape, this kind of stuff, child stuff. Not that it happens all the time, but it happens enough.
But
that
I think-
am I illegally holding them with no bail? Or will I just say, because it says to be detained until they can do it, so we're probably gonna hold them, there could be a huge fight going on. But I'll just put it this way, the state's not put together on this yet. They even said that we're not meeting, well, we haven't quite figured this all out yet.
They were Yeah, they were supposed to hire 10 to 15 magistrates. They've hired 3. That's all that they're hiring. It's like, there's been no guidance whatsoever from where, who's getting on the call? How is that call being facilitated? How is that information being, the requirements of the gym?
We facilitated this meeting, not the state.
Yeah.
We reached out, and said, listen, we need something, because this is coming, we don't know how to hold these people, what to do with them, and it's gonna be kind of a mess. Are they didn't know, they're using WebEx calling? They
Right,
there's no guidance on that whatsoever still, they don't really know, so. And then all these moving pieces together with the local entities, because they want them on there. Then
getting the complaints, the
complaints, and then
scenes,
how do we,
for
how do we schedule this stuff? Welcome between 9 and 1, great. I don't know, so we said, designate time like we do with the corporate course stuff, maybe Rockingham County, your time is from 9 to 10, and this county's here to here, so the local PDs would know to be on during that time, because they haven't established that either. So this is
And-
Work in progress.
it's a work in
3
progress.
magistrates for the whole state. So if they're confining that time for 4 hours, I mean, it seems,
They seem to think it's not gonna be, a lot of these cases, but if you look at that, those 12, it's
second degree assault,
for pedophilia,
felony stalking,
stalking, it's
first degree assault,
domestic
homicide.
stuff, so there's a lot on there
There is.
that are,
I mean, second degree assaults are fairly frequent.
welcome to Hampton Beach on a weekend, so I'm not sure how this is all gonna go.
I'm sure you'll figure it out.
Yeah, I just wanna give you an update on that, and that is all I have.
Okay, great, thank you. Chantel.
Following that, my name is Chantal Jaconin. I'm the Senior Director of Long-Term Care Services. For census today, the nursing home's at 133, our assisted living is at 48. For COVID, we have no COVID residents. We do have 2 COVID staff. General updates, we have some children that are here to care with the residents today. You may
Just
have
heard
heard them walking through. Monday is our Winter Wonderland, which is really exciting. The atrium looks beautiful, and it's so nice because residents to get around the building are asking staff to cut through the atrium so that they can go through it. So it's so nice to see. So we're excited for that. The dietary RFP is in process. We've had meetings with 2 companies so far. We had another one that just reached out yesterday looking to have a meeting the first week of January, and another one that inquired about being able to review the RFP and how to do so. So those are still in process, and thank you, Jude's team, and then Jason for his side. We have kind of come up with a system that's worked for us to have it be a very inclusive and full picture, so I appreciate that. I had a meeting this week with Exeter Hospital. Prior to my arrival, there was, so Exeter Hospital that was just acquired, is looking to bring what's called an ACO, to the area, and there's requirements to be part of an ACO, one of which you have to be a 3-star. And it's a accountable care organization essentially, so it's a risk model, sorry, it's a risk model. So there's pros and cons to it. Essentially, it's in the very early stages, it's in January. Medicare, patients that are qualifying for the ACO in this area, they gave an estimate of roughly 7,400 individuals. Not all of them will come through because it is required for hospitalization. Currently, in order to access that benefit, you have to be admitted to the hospital for 3 days to access that. This benefit comes with a waiver, so you bill it a little differently, but they are able to, if someone qualifies, elects to go in, et cetera, that individual can access their skills benefit. It bills the rate, all of those pieces without the 3-day stay. There's 2 facilities in the area, us being one of them, are the only nursing homes that are part of it. So any of those ACO patients, should they elect to do that to minimize that stay, we have a 50-50 chance of getting them, I guess, which is great because Med A is a great benefit, and from a financial aspect is higher reimbursement, and there's less of them. So kind of working through some of those pieces. So some of those individuals will be coming tomorrow to kind of tour the building because they hadn't, including the case manager, which will be a really great kind of opportunity. And I have information notes and they're sending the slides, right? So you might want to see some of them around billing. So I did ask for them. So that would go into effect January 1st. And they estimate that it'll probably be 1 a week, if anything, at starting up, but it may not even always be to our center, better availability, and none of that changes. We are working with HR, so thank you very much to your team. For the employee engagement supervisor, we had a lot of applicants. So we kind of went through the first round of them. There was some, back and forth and opportunities. So we have a little panel that some of HR was kind enough to sit on that those will hopefully wrap up this week so we can kind of get that piece together. We did have our luncheon as well. This week, our potluck, I had the affiliate luncheon with some of the other county homes that I attended yesterday, some best practices and additional information we were able to talk about. And I have gone to both Merrimack and I spent time at Hillsborough County this week as well. So some follow-up items on that with some practices and ideas that are some of them very simple, but great. So that is it for me that I can think of right now.
Awesome, thank you, Chantel. Chuck.
Chuck Nickerson, Senior Director of Finance. I've already talked quite a bit, so I'm really.
You talked out.
I have to say it was a challenging payroll this time. Many different moving parts. But again, things got done as they always do. Ben Wing, the individual who's our administrator for EKG as far as dimensions and timekeeping. and payroll processing side of things. Had he actually reached out to a higher level person at UKG about some of the problems we've been having because I don't know if it was their CFO, but someone high up he met and talked with at the UKG Aspire conference, said, here's my email. And, so he sent an email because we've had many lingering things going on that. Anyways, he actually got a reply back and had two good higher level support meetings with individuals, and they're gonna assign, it sounds like, at the very least, one higher level support person to us who's gonna see us through all of our issues, including HR items too. So bring those on too. And so Ben's gonna be working with Alice and HR as far as trying to schedule out these meetings, as far as what topics to go over and things like that. Because one thing that UKG had unfortunately done, they actually had some layoffs some months ago, and they actually let go of their whole customer success team. Yeah, and so, I mean, I even had to go back and educate UKG support person as far as what we need for W2 reporting from our Enfield Maine residents, as far as what needs to go on their W2. And it wasn't jiving with the research that they had done, and I pointed out where their research wasn't complete. And I do the same thing before that they were trying to treat for Mass residents, or Massachusetts residents and Maine residents who work for the county, that they're trying to have their NERS withholdings not be pre-tax for the state taxable wages. It's like, no, so I had to prove to UKG again why those items should be pre-tax for our workers who live in those two states. And so it's been like one thing continuously after another. Ben's unfortunately had a whole litany of issues that haven't been as major as some other ones, but those have gone continuously, not being addressed.
You should be billing UKG for your time.
And he's actually shown them some outside the box kind of way to work on things too. And again, I think part of the problem is that with the merger between Kronos and UltiPro or Ultimate Group, that they made, I don't know how many governmental employers, especially in the Northeast, did UltiPro really handle. That's really what the UKG products that we're dealing with right now are. They're not really Kronos ones per se. And we had Workforce Central, I believe, in a good working, spot. And so it's just like, for example, some reasons they will, process our W-2s, but we have to, for any year-end payrolls, including miscellaneous ones, we have to lock in on 12/27, even if the effective date is through 12/31. And so we already know we have 2 retirements. We have to lock in and basically have it processed, and so it just adds a little extra stress.
Another work in progress.
I have a question. Who signed this contract with UKG? I mean, are we dissatisfied with what's going on? Are there any alternates?
We're the guinea pigs, I think.
Well, we don't want to
We
move
both,
off
yeah.
right away, because that'd be a lot harder for everyone who finally started
I
getting
know.
somewhat used to things.
I
It
say
was a
move on.
lot.
That's.
But we put money in our budget
No,
because of our dissatisfaction with the merger, because of
Can't
what
wait.
happened. With their infiltration of their system, we kind of got this platform sort of kind of freebie, but now it's just, it's not delivering what we want. But I think putting both of our groups together through another, having to do another poll, we wanted to kind of try for a year or two and just see if we could get it to a place that we're satisfied. Because it's extremely taxing on the payroll side and the HR. This would be a third time going through something, and I don't think we have the bandwidth. I think we're exhausted from it.
I would just thought there, I know from my fans side, they're frustrated with the program. And this reminds me very similarly of what happened to us with our jail management system. Our phone system, Securus, picked up this jail management system, said, we can give you that for free, and it'd be awesome, we got this guy. It's been nothing but junk since then, because it's not their main focus. That's the experience that I've had, is what you're saying is,
Well,
sometimes these
sales guy
companies
was-
pick things up on stuff, it's not their main focus, so kind of have
Well, their main focus, I think, you know, at least in part was indeed payroll time tenants, HRIS, but the thing is, was it really geared to us? Because sometimes you can get off on the wrong foot by just having the wrong implementation team too. And the left hand not talking to right, yes, we are not a prior Pro whatever ultimate group client, but hey, the one you merged with, we've been, you know, with Workforce since March of 17. And with them for payroll processing since 1/1/20. So again, it seems like, you know, Ben seemed actually positively relieved with the talks that he had. That they were truly dedicated, were truly being taken seriously, and they truly mean to make some progress. But obviously it's been very frustrating to get to this point. So we'll see what the new county year brings, but Ben actually seemed pretty hopeful, actually. Sorry, but not to embarrass you, seemed a little emotional about it, actually. So I could see that maybe really finally, you know, there'll be some meaningful progress. So, sorry, that went on a bit longer. I'll just wrap it up. We did have our office party. We did have our small office party, our Yankee swap thing, and that went well. And tomorrow, very busy with NHAC meetings, officers meeting, executive committee meeting, 50th anniversary, legislative call. There's hundreds of bills again, as Commissioner Turtello knows.
What is it, 920?
Allison and
Bill?
Jason, you know, that we're following, so.
All
It'll be
right.
another fun time in Congress.
Thank you, Chuck. Jude, try not to be quite as lengthy as Chuck.
I don't think I could if I tried. Jude Gates, Senior Director of Facilities Planning and IT. I really have nothing huge to report this week. All's well. We're crazy busy. The fire line's being run for the new building. We had 2 shift technicians start this week.
Nice.
We're only lacking 1 person now. We're so excited. It's the most we've had in ages. We're really happy about it. And we had our Yankee swap this week as well. And yesterday we had a major repair in the biomass plant. And we're just so grateful that we were able to get it done before this terrible cold snap that's coming in. We didn't have a single complaint. It went really, really well. Chantel was really helpful to me in educating me on the limits in the residence room temperatures. So we ran reports all day long and had people out with the guns. We never broke the limit. So it went really well and we're very well pleased about it. And other than that, happy holidays to everyone.
Great, thank you,
Paula's
Jude.
coming over too.
Leila, do you have anything for us this week?
Yeah, good morning.
My third shift guy
Just
said
want to
someone
remind
called
everyone
after
that there
and
is
said
not a meeting next
From the
week.
jail.
And the deadline for agenda submissions for the January 2nd meeting is Friday, December 27th.
Okay, great, thank you. Sheriff.
Morning. I will keep it short and sweet. I just want to thank Commissioner Cherichello for all the hard work that he's done for the county. You know, everybody knows he's my liaison. He's really helped us get through some difficult times, and we're friends. We're always going to be friends. I appreciate all you've done for this office and myself personally. And I wish you all a happy and Merry Christmas and happy holidays. that
Thank
showing
you,
up?
Shep. I do have one more meeting left. Just, I
Okay.
didn't know if you do that, but I appreciate all those kind words.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Attorney Conway.
Good morning, everybody. I did want to weigh in a little bit in terms of what Superintendent Henry talked about. I did attend the county attorney's meeting up at the Attorney General's office this week, and we did listen to a presentation from both the Superior Court Administrator, Jen Hagar, and the Circuit Court Administrator regarding the new bail statute or the changes to it involving also some of the changes involving the magistrates. So my understanding and what they told us was that they were going to have written guidance for, everybody involved in the system before January 1st, when we asked when, like what date can we expect we'll have that guidance? They didn't give us a date. They basically just said as soon as possible.
TikTok, TikTok.
Yeah, they did say that there was going to be one phone number for everyone to call into. It wasn't going to be like multiple phone numbers.
For the whole state?
Yeah, I mean, that was, I think so. I mean, maybe they'll have a different number for each judge, but that was my sense.
There are
They're also
37
gonna
people
have,
on this line.
they're also gonna have a form for the arresting officer to fill out, to send to the judge. I'm assuming they're gonna give us an email for that, but that form would just call for basic, information of the defendant. One of the things that we discussed in the new statute is that if someone has failed to appear, I think it's 3 times within 3 years. I'm not sure. I think it's 3 years.
It is.
Then the court shall hold someone basically. And so one of our questions was, how is the judge going to know about whether or not someone has a history of failing to appear? And, you know, I think they're expecting the officer or whoever is on the phone talking to the magistrate to have that information. We requested that maybe they have some place on the form for that information to be filled out or a box to be checked off. They're going to consider that. But no, I agree that they're kind of just in the initial stages of figuring out how they're going to do this. And again, what they're calling it is a bail determination. It's not a bail hearing because they're not a judge. They're a magistrate. They're an employee, basically, of the court. And the hearings are going to be done via phone. So that should be interesting. But
And Pat, it's so complicated. For at least the 3 and 3 years, it has to be a Class A misdemeanor or a DUI, failure to appear. So it's putting a lot of pressure on officers to read these sometimes complicated criminal records, especially out of state. And, you know, it's just at every level a mess at this point, I would say. I don't know.
yeah, and I would also say, Commissioner Coyle, that the Superior Court is not great at documenting failure to appear. Like when I look at a criminal history, I know my defendant has failed to appear, but I don't see it on their criminal history. So the circuit courts are really good about documenting that. For some reason, the Superior Court is not. So that's a conversation I will have with the judges here. But yeah, we need to do better.
It's a rebuttable presumption of preventative detention. And so like what rebuts that presumption? I mean, is a whole different issue.
I'm concerned with the IT issue. Because a lot of PDs, if it's a WebEx phone call or whatever technology they're using, they want us all to kind of get together and be on the same phone call to them. And I don't even know what the PDs have, or that's not vetted out of how this is going to work, because they want both at the same time. That was what they're looking at. We did ask what happens if you can't get the PD on. They said, well, maybe we'll try later. I said, well, the magistrate still has to make a decision. Because we need that according to statute. Well, I guess they would make a decision then if they couldn't get the PD stuff. I'm like, okay. And we asked too, Pat, what happens if a person is incapacitated or so inebriated, this is not the proper time, like we do with bail commissioners. Hey, why don't you come back? This person is not in the right state of mind to meaningfully participate. They're like, they weren't sure. I'm like, do they go the next day? And we're holding them on what? I'm like, just. So there's a lot of unanswered questions, and January 1.
I mean, getting complaints in the Gersteins out, getting, you know, this one form, it's like it's bananas.
Yeah. So I just wanted to let you know, they did chat with us about it, but we didn't get too much information either. So that's a little frustrating. With regard to the calls to the jail, I would just reiterate what Superintendent Henry said in terms of the evidence that we are able to obtain from those jail recordings and messages that defendants and inmates send to whoever. I just had a hearing yesterday where I used 4 or 5 jail recordings of defendants saying things, like admitting to things, threatening people, you know, just evidence that we can use to convict people. And it's especially helpful in domestic violence cases where we have a victim who may not be cooperative, and despite no contact orders, defendants will call the victim and try to get them to change their story or intimidate them or go to the police, tell them this never happened, and we can charge them with witness tampering. So I can't tell you enough what great evidence that we are able to get from jail recordings and messages, and it would be a shame if we could no longer tap into that. So just wanted to make sure you're all aware of that.
It's a FCC policy,
It's an FCC ruling.
so it's coming from the federal government.
Yes, so basically the commission piece, that kind of stuff. There are two choices. If this all does continue where it is, we'll have to bring back to each county, have to bring back to their commissioners. It's going to cost you X to keep that technology.
Oh, okay.
And each county has to make a decision if you're going to keep that or not. Because if you don't, like me, okay, it's make it so we don't hit taxpayer dollars. All right, I'll rip the technology out, put 2 regular phones on a unit that don't record. And then inmates will get very upset that they can't call all the time because there's only 2 phones. And then they'll contact their attorneys, the county attorneys,
This is boiling down from the federal government, not the state government,
federal government.
federal government. Okay.
So we're no longer allowed to charge an inmate for a phone call? Is that what it comes down
No,
to?
so there's a, FCC did a rate of what they can still be charged for. Per phone call, but that does not meet, not what it costs to run the technology anymore. So when our contracts all end, that's where they're gonna have to look at, because the companies cannot collect any revenue off that basically either. The charge would be just enough on their end to basically keep things going,
Like a
but
nonprofit.
we're gonna have to pay for it, yeah. Because recordings alone, so like if you have a real basic, say, recordings alone are almost $3,000 a year. That's if you have some other revenues you can draw from, whether it be text messages or other things. Otherwise, it's more like maybe $6,000 a year, a month, and then the technology is X as well. So all these things will add up like an a la carte, and have to come back to you and say, do you want to do this as taxpayers, or I just dump it? Because on top, like for us, when the new Central Square goes in, that's a jail management system, that's a $50,000 maintenance fee per year, which we never had before, because our jail management system was just an add-on to our phone system, and they've gotten out of that business now, so we had to go out to get a different one. If you bought a Central Square type business, it's maybe $300,000-$400,000 for bringing in implementation. But because Central Square, because Secure said, we brought this company in, we'll pay for basically your installation for you and get them out of the business. Right, so we're not paying for all that and get it cheap for 50 grand a year. So there might be these pressures coming down the road. When it does, if it doesn't change, I will be with multiple options, A, B, C, and D.
Well, I think we'll look forward to seeing those options.
Yeah, I mean,
You all will.
Yeah. Pat, do you have anything more?
Yeah, just a couple things. So we are busy here. I had, other than the usual stuff that we deal with, we did have one of our advocates and an attorney present at the Timberlane Regional High School regarding sexual and domestic violence. We've been doing that for a few years now, and that the staff and the students there really appreciate the presentation. Going back to the county attorney's meeting, we were speaking, I'm not sure if you have all talked about this yet, but there was a Supreme Court case that affects sale with death resulting cases. So when someone sells drugs to a person, the person ingests the drugs and that person dies, we can charge them with sale with death resulting. And it's a very serious charge. The maximum sentence is life. So there was a Supreme Court decision in New Hampshire that basically now precludes us from charging a defendant if the drugs were sold not somewhere out of state or not in Rockingham County, which is a problem for us because many of the cases that we have, our victims will go out of state, they'll go to Massachusetts or Maine, they buy the drugs from a drug dealer there, and then they come home to Rockingham County, they use the drugs and they die. And so we have charged multiple people because our position has always been, an element of the crime is that the person dies and they're dying in Rockingham County. So we can file the criminal charge. The Supreme Court has said no to that and has said that the sale actually has to happen in Rockingham County. Unfortunately, when that case came out, we had to no process some charges we had here. We had to have some very difficult conversations with family members of deceased, loved ones, which of course was extremely difficult for people to hear. Those cases involved the drugs being sold in Massachusetts. So we are working with Paul, I always get his name mixed up, but the Merrimack County Attorney, on hopefully getting some legislation up to the state to change the law so that we are able to charge folks, even if the sale occurs out of Rockingham County. So John Mara, who does a lot of my drug prosecutions, is working with him and with Kate Horgan. We also have a family that was devastated by this and is working and willing to do whatever they can to help push legislation through. So they're going to work on this, and we have Portsmouth PD, who's been great. The detective up there, Adam Kozlowski, and that the chief have been really great in working on this too. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to get some positive legislation pushed forward to change the law as it currently stands. But just wanted to make you all aware of that. Other than that, happy holidays. I hope everybody has a Merry Christmas next week.
Great, thank you, Pat. I think that concludes our department head updates. Do we have any new business or old business
We
that
do.
somebody wants to bring up?
Talk.
Jack, you want to bring up some new
It
business?
wasn't my fault, so.
No, just.
So our excess workers' comp policy is set to expire on January first. I had submitted all the needed information to our broker USI some months ago. And they finally came back with a quote yesterday. I guess the delay was that previous to this cycle for renewing, the policy, there were only two carriers. Safety National, who we had had for many years until 2 years ago, when the commissioners opted to go with a quote from Midwest, Employers Casualty. And while the Midwest quote was a savings versus Safety National, because Safety National is getting outrageously expensive, and it seemed like the county was not gaining any credit for not having had an excess workers' comp claim since 1998.
Wow.
There's this thing that again, two carriers, again, until this year, two carriers in the business, they know you, they have you. You're a captive audience for those of us that do self-insured workers' comp. And so they know that they go for what is called a minimum guaranteed premium, which means that even though if you haven't had a claim and you only take a risk and go for maybe a higher attachment point or retention level that you're responsible for, $1 claim dollar to whatever amount, and then the excess kicks in. So you can't go for something that's like a 2 million or whatever. They have a very set minimum that they assign, like in this case, it was 500,000 or 1 million, or 1 million was like the highest. We got to 1.1 million as a threshold. They want to go higher because they want you to have a guaranteed minimum premium. So this new company, Arch Insurance, who I guess has been well established and is actually rated higher than Midwest, came with a quote. And they actually have a slightly higher attachment point as well. They're willing to move up from 1.1 million to 1.25 million. And to keep in mind, in the workers' comp fund, we actually have reserves of over 3 million. So we're very healthy in that workers' comp fund. So I'm just requesting, because I want to make sure that the county still has excess coverage come that 1/1 deadline. I'm just proposing that the county go with the Arch proposal at 1.25 million attachment point, or retention level. And 2-year policy, it's a savings of 15% against the policy that's expiring, and a 12% savings against what the Midwest quote was for the same period. So
do you have a formal motion?
I can do it.
Oh, Commissioner Coyle does.
I'll be happy to make the motion. We got this by email. Thank you.
I read the
Yeah.
documentation.
So,
That's all valid points.
I move to award the excess workers' compensation insurance renewal to Arch Insurance as a carrier for a 2-year term beginning January 1st, 2025 through January 1st, 2027, with an annual premium of $100,705 and a 1.25 retention as recommended by the Senior Director of Finance and authorize both the acting chair as well as the Senior Director of Finance to sign all necessary documents with respect to this renewal.
Second.
Do we have any further discussion on this? I'm certainly in agreement.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you for your work. I mean,
Yeah, sorry for the delay. It literally came in, what time was that, Layla? Like 4 or something? I don't know.
Yesterday.
It was, yes.
5:01.
I read it this morning.
Uh,
Yeah,
Okay,
Thank
so on the motion, Commissioner Chercello,
Abstain.
Commissioner Coyle,
yes.
I vote yes.
Thank you.
Motion
Okay.
passes.
We have
Okay, any other new
we
business?
have a couple walk-ins, yeah.
We have walk-ins, but I'm on new
Beyond that.
business first. Nothing else. Okay, very good. Then let's move on to the walk-in exception request.
I move to approve an internal only posting under chapter 10-3 recruitment, selection and appointment of employees, recruitment procedures, and internal only postings as requested by the Senior Director of Human Resources.
Second.
Any discussion on this? No, not by me. Commissioner Coyle,
Yes,
Commissioner Chercello?
Yes.
I vote yes. Payment of Cobra insurance.
at this point, I move to table that motion at this time. I have there's some other concerns that I just wanted to raise. Perhaps we can take those up in non-public fairly quickly and then come out on. But I move to table that motion.
Okay, so motion to table doesn't have discussion. Commissioner Chercello,
I'm abstaining.
Commissioner Coyle?
Yes,
And I vote yes, to table. Okay, public comment. Does anybody from the public, any other of our folks that are joining on, have anything to say to us?
No, Stephen, I just want to also say happy holidays to everybody. Look forward to next year. That's all I can say. Enjoy your family because they're all special to us. So thank you.
Great sentiment. Okay, so moving on from public comment. I believe it's time for motion to move into a non-public session.
so move pursuant to 91A:3, section 2 personnel matters.
Second.
And I invite Commissioner-elect Tombrello to be present.
Agreed. Okay. Moving into non-public, Commissioner Coyle?
Yes.
Commissioner Chercello?
Yes.
I vote yes. We're in our non-public session. We have returned from our non-public session and Commissioner Coyle has a few motions for us to consider.
Sure. With respect, we had 4 sessions. With respect to the second session, I moved to seal those minutes indefinitely because it could adversely affect the reputation of someone other than a member of this board. With respect to the third, I moved to seal those minutes indefinitely because it relates to, I think, like healthcare and HIPAA related issues, and I moved to seal the last one or the final non-public indefinitely because it has to do with legal action and could render a proposed action or legal strategy ineffective.
Okay. Do I have a second?
So I will second except for number 3. Number 3.
Well, okay, I'll second the motion.
Okay.
So
yeah,
she's
fair,
made a motion.
fair.
And it's for all 4 of these?
I did not
you
seal
didn't-
number 1. With respect to the MOU. I think it's,
Okay, that's fine.
I think it's,
Okay. That's fine. So any other discussion on
I
this
guess,
motion?
I mean, maybe we should actually, as I think of it, I think that.
Let's make a second motion
Okay, that's
because we've
fine.
got this
Sure,
going so
that's
far.
fair.
Okay, so on items 2, 3, and 4, we have a motion on the floor to seal those minutes for a variety of reasons, as Commissioner Coyle laid out for us. Commissioner Chercello
Yes.
and Commissioner Coyle?
Yes,
I vote yes. Okay,
okay. I think we probably should, because if it relates to this union strategy, so I moved to seal the minutes of number 1 indefinitely because it relates to strategy pertaining to union matters.
Second.
okay. Any other discussion on that?
No.
Okay, Commissioner Chercello?
Yes.
Commissioner Coyle?
Yes,
I vote yes.
move to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. Commissioner Coyle?
Yes.
Commissioner Chercello?
Yes.
I vote yes. We are adjourned. Merry Christmas, everyone.